My name is Lucinda Whitford, and I'm 68 years old. I raised my son Silas to be strong and smart. But nothing prepared me for the day he looked me in the eye and called me controlling. Mom, you need to stop, Silas said that cold February morning. Maribel feels like you don't trust her. You're being overprotective. I stared at my 32-year-old son. He stood in my kitchen, defending his wife of 2 years. Maribel Kane had charmed everyone in our small town. Everyone except me. I just want what's best for you, I whispered. What's best is for you to back off, he snapped. We're adults, Mom. We can handle our own lives. Those words cut deep. But they also made me more determined to prove my instincts were right. It started with small things. Maribel would get phone calls and step outside to talk. She'd quickly close her laptop when I walked into a room. Her stories about her past never quite matched up. When I asked about her family, she'd give different answers each time. First, she said her parents died in a car crash. Later, she mentioned her mother living in Phoenix. When I brought this up, she laughed it off as a misunderstanding. I get confused sometimes, she said with that sweet smile. It's hard to talk about my family. Silas believed every word. He was so in love, he couldn't see what I saw. The way her eyes went cold when she thought no one was looking. The lies hidden behind her perfect teeth. But I saw everything. My late husband Caspian always said I had sharp instincts. 20 years as a nurse taught me to notice things others missed. Small signs that something was wrong. With Maribel, those signs were everywhere. She never talked about old friends. No photos from her childhood. No stories about school or work before she met Silas. She's private, Silas would say when I asked questions. Not everyone needs to share everything, Mom. But this wasn't about being private. This was about hiding something big. The final straw came at Easter dinner. Maribel's phone rang, and she stepped outside again. Through the window, I watched her face change. Her sweet mask dropped, and I saw anger. Real, raw anger. When she came back inside, she was smiling again. But I knew what I'd seen. I couldn't shake the feeling that Maribel was lying about everything. So I did what any mother would do. I started digging. First, I checked social media. Maribel's accounts only went back 3 years. Before that, nothing. Like she didn't exist. I called my friend Serafina, who worked at the town hall. Can you help me find some records? I asked. What kind of records? Serafina wanted to know. Marriage records. Birth certificates. Anything on Maribel Kane. Serafina was quiet for a moment. Lucinda, what's going on? I think my son married a stranger, I said. And I need to prove it. 3 days later, Serafina called back. You need to come see this, she said. And you're not going to like what I found. Serafina's face was pale when I arrived at her office. She handed me a file with shaking hands. Maribel Kane doesn't exist, she said quietly. At least, not the one your son married. My heart stopped. What do you mean? The birth certificate she used is fake. The social security number belongs to Maribel Kane, who died as a baby in 1997. I felt dizzy. So who is she? Serafina pulled out another paper. Her fingerprints from the marriage license matched someone else. Someone with a very different name and a very dark past. She handed me a police report. The photo showed Maribel, but the name read Rebecca Martinez. My blood went cold as I read the charges. Fraud. Identity theft. And something much worse. The police report painted a terrifying picture. Rebecca Martinez had been arrested 5 times in 3 different states. Each time, she'd used a different name and targeted a different man. Her method was always the same. She'd create a new identity, meet a successful man, marry him quickly, and then disappear with his money. But the last case was different. In Texas, she'd married a man named Dorian Pike. When he found out the truth, she didn't just run. The report said Dorian was found dead in his home. The case was ruled suspicious, but Rebecca had vanished. Now she was Maribel Kane, married to my son. I drove home in a daze. My hands shook as I parked in my driveway. Silas's car was there. He and Maribel were having dinner on my back porch. I watched them through the window. She was laughing at something he said. He looked so happy. He had no idea he was married to a killer. I couldn't tell Silas yet. He'd never believe me without solid proof. So I started watching them more carefully. I noticed strange men driving by their house. Different cars, but they all slowed down when they passed. One night, I saw Maribel peek through her curtains at a black sedan parked across the street. Was someone looking for Rebecca Martinez? Has her past finally caught up with her? I started keeping a notebook. License plates, times, descriptions. If something happened to my son, I wanted evidence. 2 weeks later, the black sedan was back. This time, a man got out. He was tall, wearing a dark coat. He walked right up to Silas and Maribel's front door. I grabbed my phone and called 911. But before I could speak, I saw Maribel open the door. She didn't look scared. She looked angry. They talked for 5 minutes. Then the man left. I had to know who that man was. The next morning, I waited across the street from a coffee shop downtown. If Maribel was meeting him again, it would probably be somewhere public. I was right. At 2 p.m., she walked in. 5 minutes later, the man in the dark coat joined her. I couldn't hear their conversation, but I could see their faces. He looked angry. She looked scared. He slid a photograph across the table. When Maribel saw it, she went white. She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. Money. Lots of it. The man took the envelope and left. Maribel sat alone for 10 minutes, crying. I followed her home from a distance. She parked in her driveway and sat in her car for a long time. When she finally went inside, I saw her wipe away her tears and put on that fake smile. 20 minutes later, Silas came home from work. She greeted him like nothing had happened. I couldn't stop thinking about that photograph. What had scared Maribel so much? I needed to find out. The next week, I saw the man again. This time, he was alone at a gas station. I followed him at a safe distance until he stopped at a motel on the edge of town. Room 237. I memorized the number. That night, I called my friend Caspian's old partner from the police force. Detective Williams owed me a favor from when I helped solve a case at the hospital. I need you to run a plate for me, I said. Lucinda, you know I can't. Please. It's about my son's safety. He sighed. Give me the number. An hour later, he called back. The car is registered to Thomas Reed. He's a private investigator from Texas. And Lucinda? He specializes in finding people who don't want to be found. I met Detective Williams at a diner the next morning. He brought a file. I did some checking on Thomas Reed, he said. He was hired by the family of Dorian Pike, the man who died under suspicious circumstances. My hands trembled as I opened the file. Inside were crime scene photos and witness statements. Dorian Pike had been found at the bottom of his stairs, but the injuries didn't match a simple fall. They think Rebecca Martinez killed him, Detective Williams continued. But she disappeared before they could prove it. He showed me a copy of Dorian's will. He'd left everything to his wife, Rebecca. Nearly $2 million. Reed has been tracking her for 3 years, he said. If she's living in our town as Maribel Kane, she's in serious trouble. I thought about Silas, sleeping peacefully next to a woman who might be a murderer. What do I do? I whispered. You tell your son. Tonight. I couldn't wait any longer. That evening, I drove to Silas's house. Maribel's car wasn't there, so I knew she was out. Mom, what's wrong? Silas asked when he opened the door. You look terrible. We need to talk, I said. About Maribel. His face hardened. Mom, I told you. She's not who she says she is. I pulled out the police reports. Her real name is Rebecca Martinez, and she's wanted for murder. Silas stared at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. This is crazy, he said. You hired someone to investigate my wife? I didn't have to hire anyone. The police have been looking for her. He threw the papers on the floor. Get out. Silas, listen to me. Get out. He shouted. You've gone too far this time, Mom. Way too far. I left the papers on his coffee table and walked out. As I drove away, I saw Maribel's car turning onto their street. I had done all I could. Now I had to wait. At 3 a.m., my phone rang. It was Silas. Mom, he whispered. I need help. What's wrong? She's gone. Maribel. She left an hour ago with 2 suitcases. She took money from our savings account. I was already getting dressed. Did you read the papers I left? Yes. His voice was broken. I called the police station in Texas. It's all true. I drove to his house. Silas was sitting on his front steps, holding his phone. She got a call around midnight, he said. Someone told her the police were coming. She packed fast and left. Did she say anything? She said she loved me. He started crying. How could I be so stupid? I sat next to my son and held him while he sobbed. You weren't stupid. You were in love. You tried to warn me. I'm your mother. That's what mothers do. Detective Williams arrived 20 minutes later. He'd put out a statewide alert for Rebecca Martinez. She won't get far, he said. Reed has been watching the house. He followed her when she left. At sunrise, Williams's radio crackled. They'd found her car abandoned near the state line. But Rebecca was gone. She had help, Reed told us when he arrived. There was another car waiting. Someone picked her up. Silas looked devastated. Will they catch her? Eventually, Reed said. She can't keep running forever. And now that we know her current identity, it'll be harder for her to disappear. I put my arm around my son. The important thing is that you're safe. What if she comes back? Silas asked. She won't, Reed said firmly. She knows we're onto her. She'll find another town, another identity, another victim. But I could see in his eyes that he wasn't completely sure. The next few weeks were hard for Silas. He had to deal with lawyers, insurance companies, and reporters. The story made national news. Small-town man married a suspected killer. Silas moved back in with me temporarily. He barely ate or slept. Every noise made him jump. I keep thinking about all the signs I missed, he said one evening. The phone calls. The lies about her family. The way she never wanted to talk about her past. She was good at what she did, I reminded him. This wasn't your fault. But you saw through her. I'm your mother. I know when someone is trying to hurt you. 3 weeks after Rebecca disappeared, Detective Williams called with news. They found her in Colorado, he said. She's been arrested. Silas cried with relief. The nightmare was finally over. The trial took 8 months. Silas had to testify about their marriage and Rebecca's behavior. It was painful, but he was brave. The evidence against Rebecca was overwhelming. Besides Dorian Pike's murder, they linked her to fraud in 4 other states. 2 other husbands had died under suspicious circumstances. When the jury announced their verdict, guilty on all counts, Silas squeezed my hand. She got life in prison, he said quietly as we left the courthouse. She'll never hurt anyone else. Detective Williams walked with us to our car. Your mother saved your life, he told Silas. If she hadn't investigated, you might have been victim number 4. Silas looked at me with tears in his eyes. I'm sorry I didn't listen to you. You don't have to apologize for loving someone, I said. Even if they didn't deserve it. It's been 2 years since Rebecca Martinez was sentenced. Silas has slowly rebuilt his life. He's dating again, a sweet teacher named Celestine who works at the local elementary school. This time, he asked for my opinion before getting serious. What do you think of her, Mom? He said after bringing Celestine to Sunday dinner. I smiled. I think she's wonderful. And more importantly, she's real. People sometimes ask me how I knew something was wrong with Maribel. They want to know what signs to look for, what red flags to watch for. The truth is, it wasn't about signs or red flags. It was about knowing my son. I knew what made him happy, what he needed in a partner, and what he deserved in life. Maribel, Rebecca, never felt right for him. She was playing a part, and I could see through the performance. A mother's instinct isn't about being controlling or overprotective. It's about love. Sometimes that love means asking hard questions and demanding real answers. Sometimes it means investigating when something doesn't feel right. And sometimes it means protecting your child from someone who wants to hurt them, even when they can't see the danger themselves. I was right to trust my instincts about Rebecca Martinez. But more than that, I was right to fight for my son, even when he pushed me away. That's what mothers do. We protect our children no matter how old they get. And we never stop loving them, even when it hurts. A mother's instinct isn't about control, it's about love, even when it hurts.